Fergus James, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So we were talking before we came on camera. I'm curious, right from the get-go, explain to me what it means for a diamond to be lab grown.
A lab-grown diamond is basically manufactured under laboratory conditions. So they take a seed of carbon and they put it in a sophisticated oven. They pump it full of pressure, heat, and chemicals. Pressure and heat in some of them, pressure, heat, and chemicals in others. There are two main ways of manufacturing, and over a period of 2 to 3 weeks, that grows into a larger kind of carbon slab, which is of course a diamond, because that's what diamonds are. And then it's manufactured and cut, polished in the same way that a natural diamond would be. That's it.
Is there discrimination within the industry where some are adamant that it has to be natural and others are more flexible? I don't know if more flexible is actually the right term, but are there some who are it has to be natural or it doesn't count?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a big tranche of jewelers and kind of suppliers that work on that basis.
And so if somebody's coming in and they'll ask about lab grown, they'll say, no, you don't want lab grown. Will they say that's not the real thing?
Correct. I'm sure they'll say many things, but
right.
they'll, it depends on the person, right? But in general, they'll try and push them onto a natural diamond and give 50 reasons why that needs to be the case.
And is it a generational thing where maybe younger folks are a little bit more open to going with something that's called a lab-grown diamond?
No, not really. I've not really found that. That's what I expected at the beginning, but not really. I think it's just down to personality and what resonates with the individual.
And so I guess then there probably isn't what makes a traditional natural purchaser versus a lab-grown purchaser.
Not really, no.
The debate, though, is it... So I was doing a little bit of research, and I saw that at least in 2023, the global market, it was about 23% was, 15 to 20%, excuse me, 15 to 20% was lab-grown diamonds. Mm-hmm. And over the next 5 to 10 years, if you were to guess, that's probably going to grow globally.
Sure.
And is that because people are just more open to it, they're learning more, or is it because lab-grown diamonds are so much less expensive?
The latter, for sure. So much less expensive. And I think it's, when you're reading those stats, it'd be interesting to see where you got them from and how they were measuring it, whether they were measuring it in terms of volume or like dollar market value.
So they were, the ones that I saw, it was volume.
Yeah, okay. So that's completely changed. I mean, that was 2023. So even now, I think 60 to 70% of all the engagement rings in the US are probably lab grown.
What has spurred this change in purchasing? Is it just because it is cheaper? That's the biggest thing? Or is it because people are just more knowledgeable? Or is it because traditionally we associate diamonds with engagements and marriages aren't lasting as long and people are thinking, well, maybe I'm not going to spend quite so much as I want to.
It's good news for a jeweler, right?
Right.
For sure. But no, I think it's a number of different things. I think primarily if you're looking at like if you're ranking them in terms of order, then obviously price is the biggest determining factor in terms of why people would go for it. But I think you're also looking at two other like major trends, if you want to call them that. One is that Instagram is pumping people's brains full of unrealistic expectations all day, whether you're looking at people flying business class or what car they're driving or where they're living or what jewelry they're buying or what clothes they're buying or what is an acceptable lifestyle and how they make $1 million a week off TikTok and that's normal and everyone can do it type thing. So people are just being pumped with these massively unrealistic expectations. So when you're fed all of that visual content day in, day out, your expectations when it comes to an engagement ring are going to be high. And if you're looking at it saying, well, I need a minimum 3 carat or 2 carat or whatever it is, then, the reality is for natural, most people can't afford it. So if they can't afford it, but that's what they want, well, they're going to go with something else that is the same material and, chemical composition, but costs a lot less and probably is affordable for them. And I think the other main reason is that the natural diamond industry has been really complacent with its marketing. So I remember when I was growing up, I still remember the De Beers adverts on the TV, with, beautiful classical music, glamorous people, diamonds, all of those images you kind of are still ingrained in my brain. And that's just watching it as a kid, not giving two hoots about jewelry or diamonds or anything. And they didn't really do anything after that. So they're paying the price from it. They became really complacent. And it was this perfect storm of like Instagram, lack of investment in marketing, giving people a reason to buy the product, and then the perfect competitor coming along and challenging their space, if you like. And there's only really been one winner.
I play hockey Monday mornings and Friday mornings at Dubai Mall. And on the giant screen there, as I'm on the ice, the screens come on at 7 a.m. and there's a De Beers ad that appears. And all it is showing their name.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, it's a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think if you are trying to promote anything in 2025, you have to be looking at what's on social media. You have to be looking at influencers, micro-influencers, or at least looking at the trends.
Yeah.
And I would agree with what you're saying, that they've missed the mark. And with their lack of marketing, I know you're not in the natural diamond business, but I'm going to ask you.
I am.
Oh, you are
100%.
So you sell those as well? Is that what you're saying?
100%. Our foundation was a natural diamond company because there were no labs when we started. So we started getting customer questions for lab back in 2019, 2020. So we used to deal with those on a reactive basis only.
Okay.
And then we saw that there was an increasing trend. And so I think we were probably the first company in Dubai that offered it as an official option.
Sorry, when you say an official option?
As in, we proactively market it.
Okay.
So we weren't just reacting to people saying, I've seen this on whatever, can you get this for me? We were giving customers, as part of our sales consultation, we were saying, okay, you want a 1 carat, here are the specs, a lab grown costs this much, a natural costs this much. We'll answer any questions, but the decision is yours, effectively. We don't try and push one or the other. And that's still the way we operate today, because you got to respect that people have different needs, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, for me, as a jeweler, a diamond is chemically a diamond, whether it is natural or lab. One just happens to be a lot more expensive than the other. The jewelry that we make for a lab looks the same as the jewelry we make for a natural, So
your percentage is split how between lab grown and natural?
I mean, it does fluctuate, but in general, I'd say it's like 70%, 75% lab grown. And that flipped in a month.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. So we getting a supply of lab at the beginning, a good value supply, high quality, was quite difficult. So we didn't really, like I said, we didn't integrate it into the sales process because we weren't that interested. And then when we found a really good supplier and we had good consistency in terms of pricing and quality, then we integrated it. And in a month, it went from like 90%, 95% natural, flipped to 70, 80%.
For your journey, you ended up tell me how you got into dealing with diamonds in the first place here in Dubai.
It's really random. So that wasn't my first career. My first career was as a CEO of a facilities management company. So that's what I did here for like 9 years when I came here in 2007. And then I got into it randomly because my wife lost her engagement ring. And then I went about the process of replacing it. The building that I worked in happened to be a jewelry building, but not related to my company. And so I knew a lot of the CEOs in that building through arguing with them about like service charges and stuff. And so I just said to them, look, I've got a budget of, I think it was like 10,000 dirhams. So I said, I got a budget of 10,000 dirhams. I need to replace this ring. Like, I just need a nice round diamond in a ring. I didn't get involved in the design process, like nothing. And then he got something for me. I kind of gave it to my wife. She was happy. And then I kind of looked at the price differentiation between Dubai and the UK, and I saw there was quite a big difference. So
cheaper here?
Yeah. And that just kind of got me thinking. And then I probably spent about, that must have been back in 2009. I probably spent about a year to maybe 2 years just like building a case for it, if you like figuring out how I was going to do it. Because I didn't have any money. It's not like I'd gone off and raised money to start it, and it was a side hustle. I had a job with a lot of responsibility and all that stuff on the side. So it took me about 2 years to kind of get to a position where I could actually start launch the website and selling them and all that. So yeah, that was kind of it. That's how I fell into it. And then I just became obsessed with them. And then it was that obsession that kind of, and it wasn't like it took off overnight. It took years to get it established. And and then it just kind of, you know, gradually grew over time into a business that could like pay for school fees and the important things that I need to do with a family.
So when was it this month when it switched for you from natural to lab grown?
It was during COVID, I think. So yeah, like 2020.
And if you
September.
when you look back 5 years now, what do you think it was? What switched it? Was it being here in Dubai? Was it your store, or was there a global trend that was similar?
I don't think it was a global trend because the industry was really scared of it, right? So you got to remember, we weren't even offering the product on our website because most of the people that we deal with, we either have a one-on-one consultation with them in the office, or we're having a one-on-one on WhatsApp, whatever it is, right? So it is a detailed kind of consultation. So all we were doing was simply offering it as an option at the end, as we'd offer any option. Because most people don't come and say, you know, I want that one finish. There's a whole kind of, okay, your budget's this, we can alter these things to work with the budget, or would you prefer this or that, you know? And so because it was like that, it was almost like a perfect case study, because we weren't pushing one or the other. And it was almost like a perfect case study as to whether people really cared about whether it was natural or it was lab. And I mean, the end result was that, I mean, clearly most people don't.
Company point of view, your margin is the same if it's lab or if it's natural?
No. And the sales price isn't either. So it effectively, to be honest, I wasn't even really thinking about it. The question you've raised is actually a really good one. Like, that's what the industry was so scared of, okay? Because effectively you cannibalize your own revenue,
right?
You know. So for me, as a relatively small jeweler in Dubai, you know, we just got to go with the flow, and we give the customer what they want, and we want to constantly be on the front end of things. But if you're a big retailer in the US with 400 stores and you need X amount of revenue per store for you to pay your rent, like it could be potentially quite dangerous, you know?
Right.
So we've seen, and this is just what we've seen in general, we've probably seen our average sales value has probably decreased by, I'd say, about 50%, but the margins increased. So,
and the volume would as well?
It's difficult to track because it's kind of like, it's not like more people are getting engaged. We've grown as a business, so our volume has increased a lot, but that's down to business growth. It's not down to lab grown. And we've had to keep our head above water. Otherwise it'd been really difficult, because I mean, you can't cannibalize half your revenue and then keep going. It just doesn't work like that.
So when you're saying more people aren't getting engaged, is that still the tradition? Is, you know, you get a diamond for engagement. Is that still the way that it is, that the majority of the business is when people are getting engaged?
For sure. For my business, yeah, absolutely. And it's the bit that we focus on, because it's kind of the amount of effort that we put into every single deal. You need the deal to be worth a certain amount. Otherwise it's not worth it.
But, you know, we see, tennis bracelets, we see necklaces, we see diamonds. Those aren't as even close to the same amount of volume that engagement rings are?
Not for me, not volume, no. I mean, it depends on what platform. I mean, we sell a lot on Unas, so we get really good volume through there. But again, that's detached. It's not like a sales process we get involved in. You know, we basically store the product in the warehouse, and then, you know, they've got their remarkable 1 hour delivery service, which only in Dubai can you get a diamond tennis bracelet within an hour, right? Like, it is what it is. But it's not really for our business. It's a really valuable part of the business, but for sure, like, engagement rings or anniversary rings make up the bulk of what we do. So
walk me through this, just because I think it would be fun. You can get a tennis bracelet in an hour in Dubai. That tennis bracelet could cost how much?
Probably less, to be honest with you.
Okay, I mean, but let's say 60 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
A tennis bracelet in less than 60 minutes would cost you how much?
It depends on the bracelet. I think the ones we've got on Unas vary between, I think the least expensive is like 6,000-7,000 dirhams, going up to like 40, 50-ish.
So you can spend 40,000 dirhams on a tennis bracelet that's delivered less than an hour in Dubai.
Yeah, it's not bad, eh?
No, it is a unique city.
You buy a few Big Macs with that.
Yes, you could. All right. Now, you had mentioned your wife, and we were talking before, and
she'll be glad about that. She likes to know she's been mentioned.
And I want to, don't worry, we won't use a picture of her when we're talking about this, but I want to hear this story in full. So she lost the engagement ring that you had purchased for her, and of course it was before you had the business.
Sure.
So you had bought a natural diamond engagement ring for
Yep.
her. She lost that.
Yeah.
And then when you replaced it, you had the business at that point.
No,
Oh, you still, okay.
correct.
So she wanted it replaced, and it had to be with a natural.
It wasn't even a conversation because
Oh.
they didn't exist then. So
Okay.
the first ring I bought her was a ring that I got from Hatton Gardens in London, and then that one, I mean, to say she lost it is unfair. Like the top of it broke off, so it was
Okay.
probably a really crap ring, and so that wasn't her fault. And then we, after it had been lost, we just moved out to Dubai, and I bought an apartment on the receiving end of like the credit crunch, negative equity, no money, nothing. So I had to wait until I got a promotion to be able to afford the next ring, or the replacement ring. And she waited patiently for 3 years for it. So then I had it, I had my budget of 10,000 dirhams, went off and got it. And that was a thing that really instigated the start of the business. So without that, I don't think I would have been, I would have started the company for sure. And then recently, I mean, that was a quite a small ring for the CEO or the founder of a jewelry company to be having his wife. So I did upgrade her recently to something that was a bit more akin to what she deserved.
And very nicely put. Yeah. And again, you wanted to get her a natural, or she wanted a natural?
In all honesty, she wanted a natural, but she would have accepted either, right? For me personally, just in the way that I see the two, for me personally, I wanted to get her a natural as well.
And do you think that that's reflective of your generation, our generation?
No, I think it's just down to the situation I'm in. As in, because I see what's happened to both natural and lab grown prices. Like natural prices have come down a lot over the last 4 years. And so I saw it as a good time, like reasonably recently in the last 6 months, I got it for her. So I saw it as a good time to buy a natural stone because they've come down so much. I think she would have probably preferred the ring a bit sooner, but I could see natural prices going down. So I was like, I know what's going to happen. They're going to continue to slide and then they'll kind of level out when it hits a certain point. And the lab grown for me, it was not even a question of whether it was lab or natural. I just wouldn't have been spending enough money for what I thought I should be spending for that. So my genuine preference of what to buy her was actually a natural Colombian emerald gemstone, because for me, I absolutely love them. But that wasn't what she wanted. So, I would have probably spent the same on a Colombian emerald as I did on the natural diamond. And that would have been, if I were buying it, like that would have been my preference. But at the end of the day, like what I tell my customers every day, you're not buying it for yourself, right? You're buying it for someone else. So it needs to be what they would want as well. But she wasn't pushing for natural. She'd have accepted a lab. She'd have been fine with that. But I just wouldn't have felt right, me personally, and not whether it's lab versus natural. It was just the amount that I was spending on it. I was like, well, I want to spend more type thing, as in, that's what I wanted to do.
I'm trying to understand. There are differences though between the two, because based on this conversation, it from a appreciation point of view, I guess that natural has greater ceiling than a lab grown. Is that correct?
Appreciation or depreciation?
No, appreciation. So if you were to buy the same, a lab grown and a natural, same carat and clarity and all the qualifications and the assessments or the grading, in 10 or 15 years, if things were to go in a normal progression, would one be worth more than the other?
I mean, I think that brings back to the Warren Buffett question, right? So if you bought two identical stones, you'd probably pay, and again, it depends on the size, right? But let's say you'd pay, 10 to 25% of the natural price. You've got a massive saving in there, which you can invest in something else. I mean, neither natural or, and I mean, I shouldn't really be saying this, but neither natural or lab grown are a good investment. In terms of price depreciation, natural have depreciated a lot over the last 4 or 5 years, like 50%.
And is that because there's the lab grown competition?
100%. That's it. That's the main driver of price. So the lab grown is not a good investment. I mean, effectively, when you buy it, write it off. Natural, again, it isn't an investment. You won't lose as much percentage wise, but you will have to spend more, and the overall inverted commas loss, or whatever you want to call it, is most likely going to be greater than the entire cost of what you would have spent on a lab of the same size and quality and all that stuff. So there's not really an easy answer to the question. I mean, the bottom line is you just have to go with what feels right for you. There's no right or wrong answer.
Right. And
people mix it. So people they'll buy like a natural engagement ring and then buy a lab-grown tennis bracelet, the same person,
So when people come in and they're looking and they have an open mind,
Yeah.
Do you ask a couple of questions to help them get a better understanding about what it is that they would want to purchase? Or I come in and I say, I want to get an engagement ring, and I'm not this age, but I'm 32 years old. I want to get and I want to get
that'd be good.
I want to get an engagement ring. They don't know what they should be getting.
Yeah.
Do you just, obviously you want to help them, you don't want to let them flounder, but you want to give them more information. So do you ask them a couple of questions to get a sense of what it is that would work better for them?
Yeah, and normally that starts with the partner. Okay, so you'd be asking questions in terms of like how much jewelry she wears, whether she's showy with jewelry or not, whether she's got expectations, whether she sent you pictures of shapes that she likes, even what she does for a living in terms of like practically, what would she feel comfortable wearing? Because with lab, if you've got let's say a $5,000 budget, with a lab grown, you can buy a 3-carat diamond, which is big.
Sure.
Some people may feel uncomfortable wearing that.
Right.
So it would normally start, that's where, if the guy wasn't too sure about what he was doing, we'd start with asking questions about his partner. And then you get kind of like a flavor of what she's like. But in general, if a guy doesn't know what she wants, then she'll pretty much accept anything. Because if she does know exactly what she wants, she would have normally told him by then.
Yeah. And then we talked earlier about social media and whatnot. And will people come in sort of referencing something that they've seen on social media?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, big time.
And like specifics, or they know they want something of a certain size, or they want something that's impressive enough that
a lot of the time they don't even know they're doing it. So like two good examples of this are recent engagements with Selena Gomez and Taylor Swift, right? So both of them got quite abstract rings in terms of the diamond shape. So Selena Gomez got a marquee shape. That's not a really popular shape. But guess what? Loads of people are asking for it after she got engaged. And they may not have even been referencing her exact ring, but more people started asking for marquees after she was engaged. Obviously, I think she's got the biggest social media following in the world, or she's certainly in the top 5 or something, right? Taylor Swift, not quite so much, but similar, as in we started getting loads of inquiries, not necessarily picturing her ring, but subconsciously people must have seen it somewhere, picked up on it, thought they liked it, and then... So it makes a difference.
And that would be the men or the women, or both?
Normally the women, yeah.
And I'm also interested, so because of lab-grown diamonds, which came onto the market when?
I mean, we started selling them like 2020, roughly. I mean, they've been around for kind of probably 3-4 years before that, but they were really super niche. Like no one was really interested.
And now you have suppliers in particular parts of the world that are
yeah, it's super easy to get. It's not
really.
Yeah.
And how is it that a lab-grown diamond is certified as a lab-grown diamond? Is it just they try it, they do it, and it's the quality is good enough that makes it a lab-grown diamond that can be sold?
No, so I mean, lab-grown diamonds in general are a higher quality than natural because obviously it's a manufactured process, right? So you can, when people were going through the process of growing a diamond, they learn how to grow higher quality stones. They can grow pink ones, blue ones, green ones, like whatever. And obviously with natural, I don't know the exact statistic, but I think probably only 10% of natural diamonds are what they would classify as like gemstone quality that are good enough to put into jewelry. Because obviously it's a natural process. So whatever Mother Nature spits out, she spits out, right? So yeah, and when it goes down to the certification process, they just go through the normal testing process. So like IGI, who certify both natural and lab grown, the GIA, who are kind of like the leading body of natural diamond certification. So they certify all the diamonds that you buy in, even De Beers. You know, Cartier, Harry Winston, Bulgari, all of their natural diamonds for engagement rings, for example, will be certified by the GIA because they're the global standard. The GIA certify both lab and natural. GIA have changed their position on it recently, but I'm not too sure why.
On your website, you have a section for some of the celebrities that you've dealt with.
Oh, right, yeah.
And is there anything that you can talk about, stories that might be interesting to hear about particular preferences that some of these men and women have?
I don't know, really. Like,
well, let me start this way. Who is in your mind, and I know it's going to vary from person to person, some of the biggest celebrities that you've dealt with?
Well, for me, I'm a Nottingham Forest football fan, so it's all the Forest players, like, for sure.
And is it like you're in that circle now because one or two guys have done it?
Yeah, I mean, So they, if you do good to someone, then they speak highly of you, and they pass you on to their friends and colleagues and all that stuff. And it's the same with anything, celebrities and all, like, people who just kind of, but I'd say in terms of like, we did things that and again, it's all day. It's a really personal service that we deliver, right? So I would say probably the most meaningful piece that we made for someone that's really appreciated it. Two people probably. One, we did a birthday present for Rod Stewart, and there was no brief, right? So literally, they just said, we want a piece of jewelry for him. It was his best mate. We want a piece of jewelry for him, and like, where do you start, right? So we obviously start Googling him and figuring out, where you're going to go with it. And in the end, we went through our own process, and he's a massive Celtic football fan, mm-hmm. right? So we did a 4-leaf clover that was diamond encrusted on the top, white gold. So it was like this beautiful piece. And on the back, we put the dates of I think it's 2 European championships that Celtic had won, with a diamond against each of them. And we obviously saw that he'd been presented with it and all that kind of stuff, but you think like, well, like, what the hell? He's got everything, why is he going to wear that type thing? And then we started seeing him in the press, like rolling out of a bar at 3 a.m. But sure enough, he was wearing. So I was like, wow, that's hit a spot, hasn't it? He really appreciates that. And then you're kind of thinking, well, that was a nice. It's by no means about, like, it wasn't a like, value wise, it wasn't like a super expensive piece or anything, but just like you really touch someone's heart with that. And another one that we made was for Alain Prost, and he plays a lot of golf, and we did a gold golf ball marker that had diamonds around the outside, and then we lasered on his famous helmet with the Marlborough helmet with Prost down the side, and then on the back it was obviously plain on the back, so we encrusted. He was known as le professeur because he did all his research for the races and was super analytical. So we put his kind of like racing nickname, if you like, and then the dates with a diamond against all the world championships that he'd won. And it was the same situation, as in, it wasn't a piece that he came to me and requested. We were just like, I knew someone that wanted to give him a gift, and so we created it from nothing, and he absolutely loved it.
In North America, I'm Canadian, so in the 4 major sports, the championship rings are massive.
Yeah, they are huge.
Too big, in fact.
Yeah.
And if you look back, even in the 70s for sure, I think a little bit in the 80s, there would be some that you could actually still wear and not be considered an arrogant, ass hat.
Yeah.
Right? Now they are pieces of jewelry that you can't wear.
Yeah.
But for most of those, are those natural or lab grown diamonds, you think?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'd probably say natural. But they're pretty. I look at those rings and just think they're pretty weird pieces.
Yeah,
you know,
they are.
they're kind of. They're not really.
I think a lot of the guys will wear them on the day that they're presented with them,
Yeah.
and then they go in the box and in the safe.
Yeah, which is like I just look at that and think, well, you know, what's the point? I mean, it's fine for a collector's item, but at the end of the day, like, wouldn't it be great to be able to wear something that reminds you of your championship win? Obviously, if you're Michael Jordan, you've got a problem because you've got so many, or
Yep.
you know, whatever it is, you can only really wear one. But it'd be really nice to see someone do a slick design for a team, and it could still be super expensive. Like you can really work with these things, like the pinky ring I did. But it'd be nice to see a design that was actually wearable. You know?
I think what's going to happen, and this is just a guess, but because they're getting so big, they're almost becoming trophies unto themselves.
Yeah, they are
right?
for sure.
Is that there will be a team at some point that will continue to do that, but then they'll actually make something that's designed to be worn.
Yeah.
And I have, my mom had a friend, and her father had won a Stanley Cup in the 20s. And he continued to wear the ring because it wasn't something that was so ostentatious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fergus, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate
Pleasure.
this.
Thank you.